Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Socially Radical Guitarist. Song you heard just now was Violence by the band Ladybread. And yes, we have them here today. So just before I begin the conversation with them, just want to go through the disclaimer. Anything that I say or anything that my guests say on the show are the respective opinions of the guests and the host. They have nothing to do with Radio Waterloo, any of its subsidiaries, or any of its affiliates. So no, try as you might, you cannot sue public radio over this program. And yes, while the African and Caribbean Inclusion Center is sponsoring this show, the respective opinions of the host and the guest are simply the opinions of the host and the guest. They have nothing to do with the African and Caribbean Inclusion Center, any of its subsidiaries, or any of its affiliates. So no, don't sue the nonprofit either. Support the nonprofit, especially support the drive for full inclusion, full integration, and full equality. When African and Caribbeans in particular come to Canada, and refugees in general come to Canada, they should be fully integrated, fully included, and fully equal. And that is the goal of that mission, that drive. So please support. And yes, we have our guests here, the ones that just played that beautiful song, Ladybread. How are you guys doing?
Good. Hey, Christian. Thanks for having us on.
What's going on?
Hey.
All right. So, let's just begin with, just a question. How did you guys get together? How did you form? And, just a brief introduction on the musical backgrounds of everybody.
You want me to start?
Yeah, you actually.
Well,
you were there before all of us. It's a long story.
Me and Mike and our drummer Matt, who's not here with us today, we all went to high school together. But I actually didn't start playing music or guitar until after college. But I played a lot after college. I was practicing a lot, and I moved back to New York. And at that point, one of our friends that I had gone to high school with said, if you want to do anything musically related, you need to reach out to this guy, Mike. And so I texted him, said, do you want to jam sometime? Like, do you want to play? And we started jamming a lot, and that's how I got hooked up with him. And then Rick, you came a little bit after that, I think?
Yeah, mine was a little different. So while I was living in the city, I got introduced from a friend of a colleague for someone that sets up these off-Broadway plays in New York City. And it turns out for one that I did, Mike was here to do music, and apparently I was too. So we kind of just met up through that. And then he said, oh, I have an indie rock band. You should, join us, do some jam sessions and stuff. And then it took me, I think, more than a year or something to actually follow up on that. And I ended up becoming part of the band. So
yeah, I mean, like Ricky said, we had established like a really great musical connection beforehand. Like on these projects we worked with her name was Nako Adedwaji, who's she's a playwright out of New York, and so yeah, we were sort of co-music directing, and I think we're all real heavy into like improvisation is sort of where we come from musically. I mean, at least Matt's not here to chime in, but from high school, like that's where I started playing music, was just like sort of jamming with him in his basement, just setting aside a couple hours with like no goal really other than to make a bunch of noise. So once I established that kind of connection with somebody that I feel like we really understand each other musically and we can just sort of groove and vibe, I want you in my band. And that's how it went.
Nice. Which high school did you go to?
It's called Cold Spring Harbor High School. It's on Long Island.
Oh, Cold Spring Harbor High School. Is that a public school?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
The claim to fame of the town is Billy Joel actually has an album named after the town.
Wow. That's something to take credit for sure.
So yeah, we have a big musical lineage to live up to, I guess.
Yeah.
So how do you write songs? Do you do it as a group consciously? Is it a result of jamming, or is there someone in charge of that?
Typically, like I lead the charge, but I think things are starting to shift. As we sort of started with this like changing cast behind me, I guess like part of the story that you were getting so far is that it was me and Matt were jamming, and then, I met Ricky, I met Teddy. So we were playing shows where we had like different backing musicians coming in and out. And really now that we have this core 5 group of guys that we've been playing together for, I'd say about 3 or 4 years, it just feels really solid, and we really have like, a good musical connection. So initially it was like I was taking songs that I had started writing in like high school and just continuing to develop. And I would bring them to the guys, or, they were already sort of finished, and I would say, jump on and add your part. But I think now as we're working our way up into this next album, there's a lot more like collaboration, where there are songs that I'm showing to the guys that are in very early stages. So there's a lot more opportunity for us to like write them in tandem.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, most of the songs, have already been established, but for newer stuff, Mike will give us the bare bones, and then we'll add all the flavor and color to it to really make it flourish. So
yeah, I mean, I can't stress enough like how important it is to me that like what they add. I'm very much like Ricky said about sort of bare bones, is I'll really write. I'll actually start on the acoustic guitar usually, just because it's easy to pick up, put down at my leisure, and I'll write just the structure where I'll have melody and chords. But I don't like, give Ricky like a sheet music and say, here's the keys part. I want him to bring what he has to the table. Everyone's got that in them. It's someone's going to surprise me with something I wouldn't have thought of, during a jam session, and that's what I want.
Yeah, you definitely bring a lot of flavor. I've looked at some of your live performances. All of you are very talented, have very good mastery of your music, of your instruments.
I think Silence is actually like unique for us in that it was the first song we wrote. We found a recording of like the synthesis of it, or the genesis of it, I guess, that like I was saying, usually I come to them and I say, here's the song. The riff, the opening riff that you hear on the song started in a jam session. And we all just sort of took a moment and said, we like that, we want to build on it. And so this song's really important to me for that reason, is that it feels like it belongs to all of us a little bit.
Beautiful. Your music, it seems to be very socially conscious. Like you touch on a lot of sensitive topics. Is that like intentional, or just the mood you're always in when you're writing?
I think it's mood based. I think like I never really set out to say anything when I start writing, and I sort of let the topic find itself like as I go. For the most part, I actually like really work with syllables before I find words. And then once I find the word I like, for example, like this song, like I heard violence and I said, okay, if I'm going to talk about violence, I gotta like, that's a heavy topic, I can't back down from it now. I'd say that we definitely have sort of more socially conscious music coming forward. A lot of the stuff from our previous album is, it's older music. It's stuff I was writing in high school, and it's music I'm very proud of and is very meaningful, but it comes from a much more, sort of like closed in introspective space. It comes from a place of depression, or a place of, personal issues, things like that. It's I guess it's a little like self-indulgent in that way. But a song like Violence is more about my interpretation of things, and that's always how I see music in general. I'm not writing a treatise. I'm not going to change the world necessarily, though music certainly does. But I feel like my job as an artist is to just reflect on what I'm presenting. So I can really only give like my opinion on it, and then even how I present it is just going to be interpreted however somebody else takes it through their filter. So I just try to do the best and be as honest as I can about how I feel.
It's like
well, the best artists definitely put their heart and soul into it, and they put their emotion into it. And when it comes from personal experience, it's always that much better. I wanted to go into, talking a little bit about your career, how you felt about it, but, I just have to talk to Rick about his, keyboard playing. Who taught you?
Hell yeah.
Who taught you?
You should,
that should be the whole interview.
before we get into it, there's a video of, and it's a very clear video. There's a video of Ricky recording that piano solo in the studio, and our bassist Ben like stands up and just starts jamming, and I'm jamming, and we're all like, "This is it, this is it." So I'll let you take it from there. When he played that on the recording, we were so pumped and happy for us and for him, and it was great. Yeah, tell us about that.
I'm not sure how I came up with. I think like some of my inspirations from my classical piano background, because I went to a conservatory for about 10 years, took lessons to learn this, that, and I eventually stopped so I could just expand and focus on other genres of music, such as, you know, pop, punk, R&B, jazz, different stuff, and ended up Ladybread. But for that solo, I think I had a lot of, surprisingly, Debussy and Ravel inspiration, at least for the second half of the solo. In the first half, I'm not sure where like that riff came in my head. It might have been during some rehearsal where I heard something from, you know, Mike or Teddy or Ben, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Then I started, you know, kind of riffing over it. You know, the way I like to structure the music that I write is I'll start with sometimes even random notes. Sometimes I'll start with like a fully structured chord, and then I'll try to go somewhere else and then go somewhere else, even if it doesn't make sense. And then from those, you know, random places, you'll start to put the pieces together to make them actually flow into some sort of story. And that's how you really get something that's concrete that people don't expect. So that's kind of, you know, what I was going with on the solo right there. I think it worked out. So, you know.
Oh man, people are going to be talking about that as soon as they hear it. Definitely.
Yeah.
So especially musicians that can hear it, you know. Yeah, so conservatory, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, you must, you know, feel pretty grateful to be able to get that kind of, you know, musical training.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. My, you know, parents, you know, immigrated, you know, to the US, you know, not too much money, but they still were able to afford my passions and were able to grow it over the decades. So I'm super, super thankful for that, because I mean, if you don't grow what you like and you can't make money off of it, you can't, you know, be super successful, right? So yeah, so here I am with Ladybread, so eternally happy for that.
Yes.
You know.
So yeah, where did your parents immigrate from?
From Haiti, actually. So
Oh, Haiti.
It's like they are, yeah. You know,
Wow, definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
no problem.
When you get out of a place like that, you work hard. You definitely do.
Oh yeah,
And
everyone, they all work hard, and they, you know, instilled it in me. And I'm like, I'm a non-BSer. I'll make ends meet, do what you got to do. So
yeah,
with this end, that definitely comes into play. You know, we don't have shows too often as of yet, even though we're still growing and, you know, making things happen. But, you know, we still put it out there. You know, if it has to be done, we'll do it. So
yeah. It's great that you're putting your soul, and that actually goes into what I was going to ask next. How does everybody feel about your career so far? Do you feel that audiences receive your performance as well? And if not, or I mean, if you feel like, you know, they could be more excited, what are you expecting to change?
I think like we're sort of like in this transitionary period right now where, you know, one of the reasons I sent you the song and we've been sending it around is, you know, we did this great successful crowdfunder with Plaid Dog Studios, and we got to give a shout out to Brian Fennelly, who produced the track and is going to help us produce the rest of the album. And we're really hoping that'll get us, you know, some buzz. And, you know, we get a lot of positive feedback at the shows, but we've sort of hit this plateau where we've reached out to everyone we know, and they all seem to dig it. But we're trying to get on other people's radar now. And so we really want people to anticipate this album. I think that would be, you know, the best thing for us, is that ideally there's somebody who hasn't heard us before that come March or April or whenever the mastering is done is really excited to hear what else we have to say.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of faith in the ability and the vision and the talent of everyone in the band, and how we mesh cohesively. And as Mike said, I think that we're confident in our abilities, we're confident in the music that we make and the shows that we have, but we're looking to kind of expand our fan base beyond that, because we think we have something to say as a group, and we'd like to have audiences receive that as much as possible.
Yes, well, I believe that your message is definitely worth listening to, especially after hearing, the quality of all of the musicians, especially the just how tight all of you are as a band. It's definitely something to appreciate. Look for them live. Look for them live. They're on YouTube.
Yeah, we actually, if you'll give us a second to pitch, so we got a show next week. And there's a live stream. This venue, a Lower East Side New York venue, is called Arlene's Grocery, a great spot, and they stream most of their shows. And so if there's anyone in Ontario that wants to check us out, you can get the live stream link. They usually put it up a couple days before.
And not only is it's a high, like I was very impressed when I first saw it. It's like a 3-camera live stream. I don't know how they do it really, but it's a nice production that they do.
Good stuff.
Well, I have you here for shameless plugs, so
Great.
go right ahead. Yes. What's the final message you want to give to people in Canada about your music, or just in general?
Yeah, I guess that's sort of a heavy question, but I think really just that we want people to know how important music is to us, that it's more than just like we want to get famous, or we want to just like jam with friends, like it really is like a lifestyle for us, in that it has a lot of meaning. Like if I don't play music, like if I don't jam with these guys for a couple weeks, I get very depressed. Like I'll spiral, like I can tell the difference between like when I'm living, musically, and when I'm just living, and that's really what we're trying to put forward in the music, that this is a real passion for us, that this is, we put a lot of thought into it, and we really want you to enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah, I think music is magical and transcendent, and I think that this is a band that tries to capture those two elements, being transcendent and magical, and having something special, a special quality to it, and we hope that comes through in the music, and we hope that people appreciate that, and we feel something special from them, and they feel something special from us as well.
That's a beautiful message. So we're going to be going to the intermission. That'll be the end of the interview. But the intermission will be a song that Ladybread picked. It's from one of their previous albums, Ladybread. What's the song we're going into the intermission with?
The song's called Ladybread Ashley. It's off of our first EP, self-titled EP, Ladybread. And it's, I think, collectively one of our favorite songs off of that, one of our favorites to play live too. So hope you enjoy it.
All right, perfect. Ladybread Ashley. We'll be going to the intermission, and then we'll be back to do the political segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.